from St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
A camper about 4 years ago who's a transgendered kid who was not really allowed to go to a couple of other camps that they applied to go to. His family reached out to us and wanted to send their kid to camp.
I'm not sure that you can have too many affirming experiences, especially when you're a child, especially and as you're entering adolescence.
Since December, when we went live with this program, I've been contacted by hundreds of parents. Like you said, we've got 90 kids signed up just over the last couple of months. I've got about 50 parents on our waiting list.
Wow.
We've had about 75 people reach out wanting to work at the camp and participate.
I'm Sarah Fensky. A new sleepaway camp debuts this year in Makanda, Illinois. That's near Carbondale. The founders of Camp Indigo Point want to create a place where LGBTQ youth can build intentional community with each other. They expected to hear from 15 or so campers. Well, instead, they have 90 kids coming from all over the country and a waiting list. And today, we're joined by the founder of this camp. That's Dan Grable. He's also the founder of Camp Manitowa and part of this Camp Indigo Point that will kick off this summer. Dan, welcome.
Sarah, thanks so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show and talk about Camp Indigo Point.
So, I'm curious about how this got started. What made you realize that there was a need for a camp for LGBTQ youth?
Sure. Well, I think it kind of goes back to the founding of Camp Manitowa and my good buddy and business partner, Andy Brown, and I's love for camp in general. We've been working together running camps really since the early 90s. So we've spent really our career running camps and seeing kids grow up over the years, coming to camp as kids and growing up into college students and adults. So about 10 years ago in 2010, we decided we wanted to try and start our own camp. So we bought a property in Benton, Illinois, and started Camp Manitowa. We have since taken over a second property in Makanda, a camp called Camp Cedar Point, which now is Camp Manitowa Cedar Point. So for the last number of years, we've run about 10 weeks of summer camp every summer. In addition to that, we have run a lot of retreats in the fall and the spring. So we've hosted a whole lot of different groups throughout the course of our business life. One of those groups is a group called Transparent. A woman named Lisa Spar started a group for families with transgendered children. So we have hosted her group and she has participated in some of our activities. So that experience, along with a camper about 4 years ago who's a transgendered kid who was not really allowed to go to a couple of other camps that they applied to go to. His family reached out to us and wanted to send their kid to camp. So our philosophy has always been running camps to have an inclusive and welcoming environment. And so this kid came to camp, had a wonderful experience. We are hiring him to be a counselor this summer. So those two experiences and conversations with the families of Transparent really kind of let us know the need for something more. A full-on week-long camp experience for LGBTQ youth. And that's kind of how we had the idea to start this program.
So it seems like an idea based on the waiting list you've got for this. This idea's time has come. People are just chomping at the bit to get their kids signed up for this. As you surveyed the landscape, are you seeing a lot of places across the U.S. Trying to do this kind of thing, something that's not just inclusive, but specifically designed to serve these kids?
Since we decided to do this in mid-December, I've learned of a couple of other camps, more so on the coasts. There's one camp in the East Coast that I've learned about, another camp in California that serves LGBTQ kids. But really from the response from parents, they have not really found anything in the Midwest. So, like I said, since December when we went live with this program, I've been contacted by hundreds of parents. Like you said, we've got 90 kids signed up just over the last couple of months. I've got about 50 parents on our waiting list.
Wow.
We've had about 75 people reach out wanting to work at the camp and participate. And we have campers from 19 states that are all signed up, which, really blew us away. We were, like you said, we were hoping for maybe 15 or 20 kids to sign up for this first year. But we have really been blown away by the response from not only, the St. Louis community, but really nationwide.
Wow. So that's quite a waiting list. Clearly, people are excited about having this in the Midwest. We actually talked to a parent who plans to send their kids there. Adelaide Lancaster lives near Ann Arbor, Michigan. She and her family used to live in St. Louis. She heard about Camp Indigo Point through Shira Berkowitz, who works with Promo. That's a Missouri nonprofit that advocates for LGBTQ people. And Adelaide thought this just sounded like a great idea.
I think this kind of opportunity is so critical for my kids and other children like them. I am not sure that you can have too many affirming experiences, especially when you're a child, especially, and as you're entering adolescence, and especially in this environment, and how many attacks are really being levied against these kids and these families. So to be able to consistently give them an opportunity to be with other kids like them and to be in an environment that is not just accepting and supportive, but really celebratory is phenomenal. I feel like just even though it's only 1 week, I really feel like the amount that they can gain from this experience is something that I would hope would kind of buoy them, in the years ahead.
And that is Adelaide Lancaster. Again, she lives near Ann Arbor, but is very excited about this camp, is going to be sending her kids. She said that sending her children to the camp felt like a no-brainer.
We had never heard of a camp like Camp Indigo Point before, and we actually weren't even really in the market for a sleepaway camp per se. It had been something that had been on my mind for my kids kind of down the line, but I think a lot goes into, knowing whether a camp is a good fit for your family or for your kids and a safe space for your kids. But as soon as we learned about this opportunity, it really took a lot of concerns that we may have had, really off the table. And it was easy because we knew of the leaders and knew the work that they were doing to get excited about it right away.
And that, again, is Adelaide Lancaster, who will be sending her children. Now, Adelaide's daughter, Eloise, is 11. This will be her first time going to summer camp, and Eloise is really excited to be around other kids like her.
Just getting to be in a space with so many other kids like me, and right now it feels like, especially because of the Don't Say Gay law in Florida, and there are a lot of other things that are happening, so it feels like safe and affirming spaces are really important right now.
And that, again, is Eloise, who will be going to this camp. My understanding, I believe that we may have lost our guest. That is Dan Grable. He was there on the line. I think there's some sort of interruption. We're working to get him back. In the meantime, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Camp Indigo Point. That's opening in an area near Carbondale, Illinois. It might be the first Midwestern camp for people dealing with kids who are LGBTQ. And Dan, I understand you are back with us now.
I'm back. Sorry about that, Sarah.
No problem. I'm very excited to hear your voice again. So while we lost that connection there, we heard from Eloise, who's going to be a camper this summer. And it was interesting to hear Eloise. Eloise's younger brother is coming to this too. I'm wondering how you handle that whole sibling thing. Is this open to allies? Are you trying to limit it just to LGBTQ kids?
We're never going to turn kids away. So we do have a few allies that are coming, but I think that family really shared what I've heard from dozens of different families in terms of wanting a safe space for the LGBTQ kids. and just where kids can come in and feel comfortable with who they are, comfortable with the fact that they'll be around other kids like them who share similar experiences, maybe share a lot of similar challenges. So yes, we do have a couple of allies and a couple of siblings. We always kind of joke that sometimes siblings who don't get along so well at home, they get along pretty well at camp, just because it's a special place.
Maybe a chance to reset the sibling relationship.
Exactly, reset it at camp.
Well, so look, you have a huge undertaking in front of you, and I understand from your background, you're used to running camps, and you've even set up camps. But trying to put something together like this, kind of a 1 week only thing, you got to find counselors, you got to get everything, set up. How stressed are you right now?
I'm always a bit stressed, but it's always very exciting to put camp together. This camp in particular will be the first time in my career where I will not have met any of the counselors nor any of the campers. So that is, while it's daunting, it's super exciting to know that, we're pulling together all these people for the very first time. We have interviewed about 65 to 70 people, and they are all amazing people. So our staff is going to be really wonderful. These folks are, PhD students, master's students. There's a couple of college professors, professionals in the LGBTQ community. So it's some really qualified, cool people who have camp experience themselves. So I think they will, really act as some pretty great role models and mentors for the campers. We're really excited about the group of adults who are going to be running the camp with us.
Boy, we hear so much about how there's an employee shortage. People just can't find the people that they need. And here you've got PhDs coming in, wanting to serve at this camp. How did you go about finding people and connecting with this network of LGBTQ counselors?
It's been really interesting. We have a Facebook page and a website that we put up in December. And I think just with the magic of social media, it has really spread across the country, and most everybody that has reached out has either found the Facebook page in their feed or has been told by somebody else to check this camp out. So we really didn't do a whole lot of outreach. It's all kind of happened organically. That's been really interesting because, there is a worker shortage, I guess, but I think we've learned that camp is just a unique job that a lot of young people like. It's a lot of fun. It's an amazing experience to work with young people and have a significant impact not only on their camp experience during that summer, but really as these kids grow up. I think they look to camp as something that's had a great impact on them, helped them kind of grow in confidence and independence, and they've made friends really easily. And I think being a counselor is just a really rewarding opportunity for people to have.
And you're going to be doing this in Southern Illinois. I think probably a lot of people don't necessarily think of that as sort of a hotbed for inclusivity, the way that maybe like a blue city in the Midwest, like St. Louis, might have more of a reputation for that. Have you gotten support from the community? People are welcoming to this camp?
We have, absolutely. I think Camp Manitowoc, having been around for the last 11 years, we've got, I would hope, some good name recognition in Southern Illinois. People know that we run a good camp. We have reached out to the Southern Illinois community for our regular summer camp. So, I think people know about us, and they really appreciate what we're doing. And we've certainly gotten some great feedback from local folks down there who know us and know what we do about Camp Indigo Point. So that's been really encouraging, and makes us feel pretty good that we're doing something right.
So one other thing that it sounds like you're doing right, I understand you have some scholarships available. Camp is obviously not inexpensive. Why was it important to you to make that a piece of what you're doing?
I think Andy and our approach has always been to offer camp to everybody. We have, obviously, we're a business, we're trying to survive and make a couple of bucks, but I think our whole mission and vision of operating a camp is to get kids to come to camp. So, we've always had scholarships available for folks for Camp Manitowoc, and we really felt it was important to not turn anybody away at Camp Indigo Point. So we have partnered up with Central Reform Congregation and Rabbi Daniel Bogard, and they've been able to raise some money for scholarships. But, we cut our full tuition price in half off the bat, and then we've offered anybody that asks for scholarship funding for the rest of that tuition. We just give it to them. We really, don't need to go any further. We just really want kids to have the opportunity to come. So I think, it's important to us.
So, Dan, one last thing I wanted to ask about today, just in our final minute here. There's clearly an underserved market here based on how fast word got out about this, how long your waiting list is. Do you hope this inspires other people to create similar spaces for LGBTQ youth that they might see, hey, this is actually a really good business opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. I think being as surprised as we were with the response, we certainly intend to obviously run this week of camp this summer, as well as expand to offer reunions over the year back at camp. We'd love to have meetups in different cities that kids are coming from. We will certainly offer more weeks of camp at our camp next summer, and we definitely see the opportunity to expand at possibly some other facilities around the country in the future. Because you're right, there really has been a demand and a need that we've discovered. Anybody else that wants to give it a shot, we would certainly encourage that.
Well, Dan Grable, thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Sarah. Thank you. And
Dan is the founder of Camp Manitowa, a longstanding camp there in Illinois. Also the founder of Camp Indigo Point that debuts this summer. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio. This episode was produced by Jane Mather-Glass, with audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr. Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, honoring Arbor Day on April 26th, with an ongoing commitment to sustainable stewardship and conservation of Missouri's forests. ChooseWood.com.